Oh Christ, Christmas is here again, and I can't get DW plays because he's still in that fucking vacuum, and SM3DW is just... Actually, where is he? Oh, shit! What do I review now? Nah, fuck those films. Cause this Christmas, I'm gonna talk about a living legend. A man who showed the world what adults in their filthy minds could do to animation. That's right. This time, I'm gonna talk about animation legend Ralph Bakshi. Now I bet most of you out there are asking, who the fuck is Ralph Bakshi? Well, let me tell you. He's an animator who was a part of the New Hollywood movement of the 1970s. Yeah, he stands alongside such directors as Steven Spielberg, George Lucas, Francis Ford Coppola, and Martin Scorsese. But while those directors were in the live-action business, Ralph focused on animation, as from a young age he found that he had a talent in drawing, which then led to him getting a job at the animation studio Terry Toons, home of the Mighty Mouse. But after leaving that job and going around to a few different areas in the business, Ralph decided to start making films, which leads us to the first part in our new adventure. Fritz the Cat is Ralph's first feature film, and it's a very interesting one to start off with, as it's based off an underground comic, and most importantly, is rated X! Which is now NC-17. Which, to those who don't know what film ratings are, it basically means adults only. And Fritz the Cat was the first X-rated animated film in history, and started a new trend of X-rated animated features. But what about the actual film itself? Well, Fritz is a film full of animated sex, violence, and of course, classic drug use. Being set in the 60s, we follow Fritz, a college student, who is on the prowl trying to find women to have sex with, and generally, just have a good time. From the start of the film, we get a good sense of Ralph's visual style throughout the film, with a mix of different techniques, and with the budget they had, the film looks great. The film had a budget of around $700,000 or so, and with such a small budget for an animated film, they had to cut some corners, like by not doing pencil tests, which means to see if the animation actually matched up, Ralph had to flip back and forth through the cells to see if it did. That's some fucking dedication right there. One of the key things Ralph showed in Fritz was his social commentary, and it's truly fantastic. Commenting on the civil rights movement, the tension between the races at the time, it's something Ralph is really known for, as he kept his commentary up through most of his films. Another thing Ralph did to add to the film was by going out and talking to strangers at bars. Here he would record them and use their conversations in the film. It added a level of realism that Ralph was looking to add into the world that Fritz took place in.
Peanut butter home now, I don't own it, but I ate so much when my mother gave it to me. Apple butter. I got 2 cans of it now that I don't eat because...
Now even though the characters are animals, they act more like humans. Like the crow, Duke, is not actually able to fly.
Saved my life, man.
Shit.
Now, let's talk about the camel toe in the room. Wait, shit! The sex. Yeah, this film is full of it, but it's not porn per se. Ralph is known for his first few films because of the amount of sex he put in them. But when actually getting into his films, it's more about the story and the commentary. And the sex is just there, to serve as Ralph's way of showing how adult animation could be. Again, not porn, definitely not porn.
It's a rare opportunity, you know. We're scarce.
Really?
Another staple of Ralph is the violence. This film is full of great violence. It serves the film in pushing how adult it is, with murder, abuse, and explosions. Although Ralph uses violence at times to serve as great symbolism, as in Duke's death scene, he is shot straight in the chest, and it then intercuts between a bunch of pool balls being flung around the place. This makes sense, as Duke was shown to be a pool player earlier in the film. The pool balls represent Duke's heartbeat, and as more of them pass on by, the slower they get. Until... he keels over and dies. A truly powerful use of symbolism right there. Ralph's use of color is also very good, with there being a lot of vibrant color used in the film. Then there is just the weird, interesting stuff in the film, my favorite thing being the neo-Nazi bunny that abuses heroin, Blue. He is shown to be crazy and generally fucked up, but come on, it's a Nazi bunny who does heroin! What's not to love about him? Fritz the Cat is really a true testament to how great Ralph is, and it proved that Ralph can make films and be successful, because despite the X rating, the film made a lot of money. $60 million in fact, and was the highest grossing animated film of 1972. And with this newfound success, Ralph went on to make a new, original, and personal project. This turned out to be his second animated feature, Heavy Traffic. Ralph was now finally able to fully let loose with Heavy Traffic. One thing to note is that there are live-action parts in the film. It's a pretty cool thing to know that an animated film has these live-action sequences. Another thing to note are the times when footage of a pinball game being played are shown. This was Ralph's decision, as he loved pinball and especially loved to play with his son, so it adds another personal level to the film. Heavy Traffic has a different style from Fritz the Cat, with times where real-life photos are used as backgrounds, or even when real-life footage is used as well. It's another artistic part of Bakshi as an animator. This time, in Heavy Traffic, the film is centered around an underground cartoonist named Michael and his life in Lower New York. The film shows his living conditions and primarily shows the relationship between him and his parents, who are most of the time trying to kill each other. Ida is Michael's Jewish mother, and Angelo is his Italian father. As shown in one scene, Michael is inspired by the people around him as he draws a comic with very over-the-top versions of his parents fighting. Now, during the film's production, Ralph had a few problems with producer Steve Krantz. Since Ralph had not been paid any money for Fritz the Cat, and when he called Krantz, he said the film failed and that everything about it is just noise. Even though they went into the production of a sequel while Heavy Traffic was being made. Real good cover, Krantz, you stupid motherfucker. Anyways, Ralph wanted to do some Scooby-Doo work and asked how much his fellow filmmakers had made off of their films, most notably asking Martin Scorsese about his earnings. And once he found out he got fucked by Krantz, he went and made a deal with another producer, so that he didn't have to work with Krantz on his next film. But we'll get to that soon. Be fucking patient. Of course, Krantz found out about this and fired Ralph. But the producer, Samuel Z. Arkoff, got wind of this. He threatened to pull funding if Ralph was not given his job back. And the next week, Ralph was back to direct the film. Being the fact that this is Bakshi's second film, he had not yet moved away from the adult style, and put in arguably more sex and violence in Heavy Traffic. So it was no surprise that the film got an X rating, making it the second X-rated animated feature in history. Good on Ralph for those 2 milestones. And just commenting on the ending, Michael gets killed by the character Shorty, and next thing you know, you're on acid, with a fever dream going on right before your eyes. But then we cut to real life, where we see the real-life Michael destroy a pinball machine, mope around the city, find Carol, leave, chase Carol, find her again, argue with her, and then dance with her as the camera pans up to the beautiful 1973 New York City sky. Heavy Traffic was successful, not to the extent of Fritz of course, but it further cemented how great Bakshi was at what it did, and with Krantz out of the way, and an even better sense of newfound freedom, he went on to make his next film, Coonskin. Oh shit. Coonskin is a very interesting topic, as it's seen as one of the most controversial animated films at the time. Yeah, even beating Fritz the Cat and Heavy Traffic out of that title. Mainly due to the fact that all the characters are drawn like stereotypes, which mean that the black characters have big lips that are very red, gays are dressed like women and always want dick, Italians are fat and end every sentence in and of course, the whites are racist, violent, and sex-crazed. Though most of the people who see the footage out of context may think it's racist, it actually isn't. It's just another great forefront for Bakshi's commentary, primarily on how America treated black people for most of its history, with America being represented through Miss America. And of course, she's horny, has big tits, and apparently a gun in her vagina.
You can take me. Come on, fella.
Oh, she got to clap.
Of course, the movie is not racist, and neither is Bakshi, but that didn't stop the civil rights groups from attacking the film, and Republican candidates congratulating Ralph on the film, as if the film was pushing some sort of right-wing message. Moving on from this Yuletide bullshit, Ralph had an interesting way of getting the film started, as one day he was talking to Al Ruddy, the producer of the recently Best Picture winning film, The Godfather, and he wanted to do a film with Ralph. And on the spot, Ralph came up with a great idea. He said, Uncle Remus. To those unfamiliar with Uncle Remus, they were a series of old children's books, and were even made into a film by Disney. You know, that one film that Disney hides from you, yet one of their biggest rides at Disney World is based on that very same film? Where's the fucking logic? Well, somehow that sold Al on the idea, and Ralph was set to do the picture. And since this was a Ralph film, those children's books were suddenly now not for kids. Coonskin has a cast full of talent, with Philip Michael Thomas of Miami Vice fame, soul singer Barry White, playwright Charles Gordon, and jazz musician and voice actor Scatman Crothers, who play their live-action and animated counterparts. Oh, and don't forget about Grandpa Munster as the Godfather. One of Ralph's main objectives with Coonskin was to make a strong point against the Mafia, which is all the more ironic considering the producer of The Godfather made this, but whatever. Ralph didn't like how films like The Godfather portrayed the Mafia lifestyle as glamorous and full of honor, so in the film he includes the Mafia and makes fun of them, with the three main characters, Brother Rabbit, Brother Bear, and Preacher Fox, playing them like instruments. Like every Mafia member is fucked up. One is shot to shit, the other is burned alive, and the rest of the Mafia, including the Godfather, are blown into fucking oblivion. Oh, but we can't forget about Black Jesus, one of the best parts of the entire film. As we are almost done with Coonskin, I'd like to add one more thing. After a lot of the controversy happened, Ralph and Al had to find a new distributor, which they found in the Bryanston Distributing Company, which released the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Oh, and was owned by the Mafia. No biggie. Yeah, the Ralph Bakshi film that deals heavily with racial issues and making fun of the Mafia was produced by Al Ruddy, the producer of The Godfather, and then was distributed by the same company that distributed the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is owned by the Mafia. One of the universe's many great coincidences. And while all this is coming to a close, let me talk about the opening credits song. And you know what? I'll just say it. The song is called I'm a Nigger Man. It's sang by Scatman Crothers, and it has his usual style and grace. The weird thing is that Bakshi wrote the song, and I'm not going to lie, it's not a bad song.
I got the devil in me. It's the man you see. Got the devil in me. It's the man you see. Walk on, niggas, walk on. Walk on, niggas, walk on. Shop-a-doo, 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 shop, dum-a-doo, shout. Dum-doo, something, dum-a-dee-dee, sound, dee-dee-bum, sound. Shop-a-doo-doo, shop-a-doo, shop-a-doo, shop-a-doo-bum.
It's what I'd say is a nice blend of comedy and just all-around great ukulele playing and great singing. Absolutely love it. Coonskin may have been hell for Ralph to release at the time, but over the years it's gotten the love it truly deserves, with the New York Times saying that it could possibly be Ralph's greatest film, while also at the same time getting the Quentin Tarantino seal of motherfucking approval. Even Ralph has called it his best film, and I don't blame him for saying that. It truly is one of his greatest films, and is a great film that in general everyone has to see. Alongside Fritz the Cat and Heavy Traffic, these are films that you just need to watch at any time. But that's all I have for Ralph today, and I know that this wasn't a very Christmassy topic, but come on, be honest. When have my Christmas specials ever had to do with Christmas? Besides the Black Christmas and Rhapsody Street Kids videos, but Christmas is about calming down and relaxing, so I thought that I'd just talk about a person who I admire for their work and personality. And Ralph's films will last for generations, and maybe sometime in the future we'll look at his films after Coonskin. But for now, I just want to say Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, or if you prefer it, Happy Holidays, and just get a nice cup of hot chocolate or coffee, sit down with the family, and watch X-rated animated cartoons like you should be on Christmas. And I just want to say this now, Happy New Year, and I can't wait to see y'all in the new decade.